What's up guys, Andrew here from Mini Racer. Today we are going to install a tall seat foam and cover on this CRF110 seat. Before we do so, a couple of quick things on tall seats, options out there and why you'd run one. There are complete seats out there, a few brands make them, they're a great option. Bolt them on your bike, away you go. For some people, whether it's a model that they don't make them for, example, we do the 13 to 18 CRF110 foams and covers as well. We've got CRF50, KLX110, TTR110. You can get one for whatever you want, whereas the completes are mostly just Honda and Kawai's key models. But secondly, it allows you a few more options. We run strike foams. They're a super good quality foam. They're a good density, we think is comfortable, but stiff enough to allow you to ride the way you want to ride. But they also last really well. Even compared to an OEM foam, we sell a lot of replacements to people who literally just replacing their sagged out, waterlogged OEM foam. These things are water resistant, so they basically have a really long lifespan. So we stock standard ones as well. So even if you don't want to go tall, when you change your cover, you might want to think about that too. So that's one thing. And the other thing, of course, is with tall seats in general, they make it a lot more comfortable for adults. Whether you're riding a 50 or a 110, raising that seat height up and flattening it out increases that rider triangle, gives you a bit more space between the pegs and your butt, just stretches your legs out a bit. And making it flat also makes it easy to move around on the bike and get forward and back. So it's really good in that way. Looks cool, it's a really good upgrade, it's really common. So yeah, and the good thing is it's easy to do. Secondly, with the covers, you've got lots of options, guys. So we just sell one cover, which is tall. Basically, all the tall covers is they've got a bit more material, I should say, added to the bottom. So if you're running an OEM seat and you're just changing your cover, you still just get the tall cover and you trim it off at the end, which we'll show you, which you do with the tall cover as well. So just keep that in mind. The other thing is, guys, we've got a ton of options for colorways on the website, which you'll see if you jump on miniracer.com.au. But you can do custom. So we've got a custom option on the site, whether that's just changing the ribs and the panels to some sort of crazy color combo, even different ribs, different colors, or you can go full custom. We do those two-tone dip covers that you might have seen on our white and teal bike back in the day. This is one we just got made by the guys at Strike for a new build coming in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that one. It's going to be sick. So there's heaps of options out there, guys. Check it out. It allows you to make your bike look exactly how you want it. So before we rip in, we'll just have a super quick chat about the tools needed. Once again, this is a pretty easy job. You don't need a lot of tools. All you need is a flat blade screwdriver and a pair of pliers. That's just to pop the staples out on the OEM seat. You're just going to need a staple gun. So that's the only thing that trips some people up. We use an air stapler. We've got the air setup here. It's super easy. They're more than powerful, sometimes almost too powerful, to be honest. Other options are an electric stapler. They're super cheap at the hardware store. If you're in Australia, Bunnings sell like an Azito one for about $50, and they're a pretty handy thing to have in the garage. And obviously you don't need an air setup. Or you can go the old school manual one. These things are a little bit trickier, but they still work. We've done heaps of covers when we're in between workshops with these. So a couple of options out there. And yeah, it's a pretty easy job if you've just got these tools. So that's the crux of it, guys. We're going to rip over to the bench, pop this thing on, and yeah, we'll have a fresh tall seat coming right up. Okay, so step one is just to pop the staples out of the standard foam. So you just get your little flat blade screwdriver, pop it under the staples, and pop them out. Sometimes they'll pop straight out like this. Other times they get a little bit stuck. Just grab your pliers and pop it out, and away you go. So it's a little bit tedious, but probably take you a couple of minutes. All up. So we'll work our way around. We won't bore you with the whole job, and then we'll rip in to the next stage. All right, so staples are out. And you just peel your stock cover straight off. Away you go. Do with this what you will. I'm going to chuck it in the pile with the rest and pop the foam off. So just a heads up, the foam is adhesed on a couple of spots, so you just got to get under it a little bit. Sometimes I'll tear a little bit, sometimes it won't. This one's tearing a little bit more than most, to be honest. And pop it off. All right, stock foam's off. Fresh strike foam, so you can see the difference, guys, even just in the color of it. These are a little bit firmer, and they're just a really, really good quality foam. Strike make all of their foams based off OEM seat bases and foams, so they fit really well as well. So we'll give this guy a quick clean up, just to get rid of those little bits of foam that are hanging around. I probably could have done a little bit of a cleaner job of this, but it's no big stress. We're not going to reuse the stock foam again, but if we did want to, we could. All right, so we've got a seat base, all good to go. Got our foam. All we're going to do, seat the foam on there. Seat, get it? Nicely, you'll see it'll just sit in at the front here, like so, and match up nicely at the rear. From there, the seat cover is all we need to hold that foam on. We've heard people talk about gluing the foam back to the base, even gluing the cover to the foam. None of that is needed, guys. So we're gonna throw this black cover on. You'll actually see it's been trimmed already because we've had it on a bike once and we changed our mind on the direction of the bike. Then we changed it again. So anyway, that's why you'll see that. But the exact same principle applies. We'll show you how it all works. So basically, pull the cover over the front and you'll see it's stitched so it sits nicely and lodges itself. And basically make sure the foam sort of stays where it should stay and pull the cover back over the back of the bike. The rib covers are really helpful because they've actually got seams down each side, so it makes it pretty easy to center them. So I just pull it back with a reasonable amount of tension, nothing crazy there, because we're going to pull the sides down as well. A little handy hint, don't go crazy with how tight you pull it. One, it'll make your seat feel super stiff, but secondly, when you pull it down super tight over the sides, it actually contorts the foam a little bit and you'll end up with a bit more of a gap on the side of your bike. So just a reasonable amount of tension just to keep it all square. And then when you flip it here, you can actually just use these two seams. The Honda's nice because it's got a bit of a point in the base. So you can just basically line that up with the middle and hook your gun up. And we're just going to stick a couple of staples. We just stick a couple of staples in the rear and that'll get the thing located. So a couple of little, is that square? Probably not as square as we wanted actually. Let's try it again. All right, so we'll get this pretty lined up. That looks pretty good to me. Pull it a bit tighter. I'm going to pop a couple of staples in it to get everything in place. When you get to the end, sometimes, if need be, you can pull these back out and redo them, but usually not. So there you have it. You've got the basis. I usually just flip it back over, have a quick look and just make sure you're happy with the alignment, which I am. So once you've got the back done, you don't even really need to do the front. Some people will. I don't. We don't. I don't. Whatever you want to say. And then just pull the sides around. It's the same deal. We usually go to the center here. Pull the sides around. Make sure you keep it centered. I usually just keep a bit of pressure on that on each side. Don't go crazy on the tension, just enough to make it tight. And chuck a couple of staples in. Still looking pretty good. And then do the same on the other side. So you can see now at this point it's starting to take shape pretty well. You can actually have a quick look, make sure you're stoked on everything. And from there, there's no crazy rules on how to work from there, but I just try to go evenly on each side. So don't do a whole one side and then the other because you might pull it out of shape a little bit. And I kind of just do pretty big bites. All right, so we just popped a few more staples in while that compressor kicked in. Didn't think you guys needed to listen to that noise. Now at the front, which is a little bit more important. With a lot of bikes, but particularly the CRF110, the foam comes around the front of the base. So some people will pull it super tight like that, and it'll actually pull the foam out of shape, and you'll get a super ugly gap when you put it on the bike. So just pull it over enough to snug it up. Don't get wild when it comes to tension. You can almost like just use the pressure that the staple gun gives you with the nose of it as you push it off to be enough. It's a good way to do it, I've found. So punch a few in. Like I said before, just do enough to get the shape there. Like you don't need to get wild. I just throw a few in the front, same thing. The good thing is if you want to chuck a couple extra staples in later, you always can, but it's annoying when you've got as many as the stock Honda ones do. Probably overkill. Right, last bit's the rear. So the rear feels a bit messy when you do it, but it turns out nice. So there's no hard and fast way. Some of my mates, like Matt Bernard at MotoKit, etc., might have different ways of doing it. I'm not sure, but I kind of start from here and work my way back, and just kind of take small bites. And this is where you do need to stretch it a bit harder to make sure on the top side where you're actually going to see it, it's all smooth and clean. So it'll feel a bit ugly, but don't be scared to just pull the creases out of it. And sometimes you might even need to sort of double it over a bit, but it's no big deal. So you can see there, it looks a bit wild on the backside, but when we flip it over, she looks golden. So you can give that a little trim up in a few spots. We try to not get crazy with the trimming. The good thing is you can always trim it more if you need to. Pop that out. And that's it, guys. Super easy job. Got yourself a fresh, tall seat. And there you have it. Fresh, tall seat for your CRF110 or any other bike. This is going on a new build that we're doing as we speak, along with that other build we just talked about. But as you can see, it's a super easy job with a couple of basic tools, which will transform the way your bike looks and feels. So don't be scared to grab a foam and a cover and rip in yourself.